Good morning and welcome to Legally Speaking with attorney Antoinette Osborne. This program is for information purposes only. If you need legal advice, you can contact me, Antoinette Osborne, at 718-502-9137. We are taking questions this morning in the live. You can call 718-502-9137. That's 718-502-9137. Just a reminder, the office focuses on divorce, immigration, bankruptcy, real estate, and estate matters. We also do eviction proceedings. There is a second office in Jamaica, West Indies that focuses on legal representation if you are seeking to buy or sell property in Jamaica, or if you're looking to wrap up an estate. You can also place your question in the live. Nicola will alert me if I am not able to respond timely. Good morning, Amarildo. Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning, Zalita. All right, so this morning I wanted to focus on marriage in an immigration context. And just excuse me one second. I see the personal items are showing. All right. Morning, Michelle. All right, so this morning I wanted to focus on marriage. I'm gonna first start speaking on marriage fraud. Yeah? All right, what can I tell you? This is not something that you would want to get caught doing. The implications of it for all your future immigration applications are dire. Let's just put it that way. Yeah. You are discovered engaging in this, all hell is going to break loose for you. And I'll tell you, in Jamaica, we call it drunker, right? Or they call it buzzards here, I think, where you're desperate, you're dying, there is like lack of hope. So you move to this. This is one of the most dangerous things you could engage in. And this morning, you're going to see why. I'm going to encourage anyone who is contemplating this, think again, be very careful, because if you get caught, it is the ramifications, and the legal ramifications are extremely serious. All right, so it's a bar to future petitions, right? And the sad thing is, once it is determined, and this usually occurs, oftentimes an investigation will occur, right? Because the government will be required to present their evidence. Why is it that they're denying this green card? Because they have based their findings on a fraudulent marriage. So usually there's an investigation. Things that will alert them are when then they send mail to your home. The mail comes back, and this is where I encourage anyone who is receiving mail from immigration, be very open with your mailman. You're expecting serious documents. Please ensure that it gets delivered. But when the mail goes back to say that you're not living there, there's no such person there, this is gonna alert HSI officers to come out and do an investigation. And it gets serious, because if they are proven right, consequences. And I'll tell you this, right? Another way that they will make this determination is when the U.S. petitioner sends in a letter. I call it the little love letters, where they say that the marriage is fraudulent and you only married them for an immigration benefit. You can best believe that when you are in removal proceedings, more likely than not, that your citizen petitioner is going to get called on breakups, it happens, but bad breakups, when someone is bitter, and I will tell you this, when I strike a balance between the men and the women, the men will be angry, but they'll just move on with their life. The women, it's not gonna be that pretty for you, right? So what you're gonna find is they are carrying, there's nothing like a woman scorn, and there's truth in that. They are going to be carrying such a vendetta for you, right? It is like I have a colleague who is divorcing this lady, and in order to complete the divorce, it's simpler when you say, okay, irretrievable breakdown, right? 6 months or more prior to the filing. But no, that woman wants that judgment to come out and say marriage fraud based on immigration purposes. And for someone who has gotten their green card, if you get an annulment, right, your green card is out the door, because what that tells immigration is that the marriage itself, that you got the green card, was not viable. And as a result of which, you can kiss your green card goodbye. So this is why when people get that sort of filing, because immigration can use that documentation to assist their case to say that the marriage you entered into was fraudulent. This is why you see people, whether or not they don't get the green card or they have gotten the green card, they are going to fight it, because you create such a record for them that it either, if they have gotten the green card, they're about to lose it, or if they have not gotten the green card for all their future filings, because when you are filing, your record is not just based on your current application, it is based on your entire history. And this is why you will see anyone who sees that and they have benefited immigration wise from their spouse, and they see that you're looking to annul that marriage based on fraud, they're gonna fight you. I can't tell you any other thing than they are going to fight it. You are putting their stability here in the United States in jeopardy. You are putting especially if they've moved on to a new family, you're putting that new family in jeopardy. And I specifically remember I had a case, and the man got remarried. They were both citizens, right? The husband and wife. But he divorced. And this is why be very careful where you're divorcing someone behind their back. It does not make sense. Good morning, Lester. Good morning, Andre. Good morning, June. It doesn't make sense you divorce someone behind their back. And I'll tell you why. When that person finds out, right, what's going to happen is that that person is going to come at you, and especially where you have remarried, it puts your second marriage in jeopardy. And the second marriage for my client's husband, he filed for his wife, right? And one of the things we did, because we settled the case, and she got her, I will say, her due payment. Yeah. And this is why be very careful how you're hiding and the things you're doing. Yeah. You had to pay to settle that case. And what we did in order not to affect the second wife's green card, because he was fretting, she was fretting, because if that judgment came after his marriage, she's done, because the marriage would have been bigamous. So her green card would, and I think she also got her citizenship. Everything would have been out the door. And he and the new wife, they were in sweats, complete sweating. Yeah. And we agreed to let the first, because we settled the case, she get her money. We agreed to let the second, the first judgment stay to the first date that he had actually divorced her. But if she was adamant and wanted to make his life a living hell, we could have made the new judgment come after his second marriage. So his second wife's documentation, because he never served her properly, would have just gone out the window. So when you're looking to do people dirty in America, right? You know where they are, but you want to avoid child support. You want to avoid certain things. It's not going to be worth it for you, especially when you want to move on with your life, right? And what happened was, sadly, even before we had filed, she had seen him one day. This is after he had done the divorce. And the man said absolutely nothing to her. So these are the things that it will get people angry, the level of deception. Yeah. Good morning, Derek. Good morning, Tracy. Good morning, Sandy. Yeah. So be very careful one at the outer road, right? So, and I'll tell you this, if you have a determination of marriage fraud and you actually go ahead and let's say you have a bona fide marriage and you think this new person is going to be able to file for you, they're not going to be able to file for you when you have a 204C bar, right? Or if in your second marriage, after the first fraudulent marriage, you go ahead and you file a domestic violence case. I don't care how meritorious that domestic violence case is, you now get the green card just because you have a fraudulent marriage determination on a prior marriage. Just to remind you, when you make an application to immigration, your entire history comes into place, right? Someone texted, please explain the purpose of a waiver and what's the next move when NVC letter states that a visa number is available. I'm not sure what waiver the person received. And if you're referring to NVC, I am going to assume that you are referring to a provisional waiver. A provisional waiver is where someone has no proof of how they entered, or if they do have proof, like you came on the crewman's visa, or probably you came on the fiance visa and it's somebody other than your fiance is seeking to adjust you, or you just jumped the border, there's no proof of entry, you are not able to adjust your status here in the United States. So what happens is you have to go back to your home country. But when you have accrued unlawful presence, and what do I mean by unlawful presence? You jump the border from the day you enter, you're accruing unlawful presence. You came on a visa from the day you're permissible stay. Some people like to think they have a 10-year visa, they can stay for 10 years. No, it doesn't work like that. Your visa is a license. So it is like a permission to enter. So USCIS, or when you come to the airport, CBP have the right to revoke it. It's just a permission. It don't mean nothing. Until they allow you to enter, they have the right to cancel that visa, put you on the next flight, send you back from where you are coming from. So for someone who has accrued unlawful presence and you don't have proof of entry, just for other reasons are not able to adjust in the United States, what happens is you have to interview in your home country, but you can't just get your interview date, jump and go when you've accrued unlawful presence. You're out of status, right? What is required is that you apply for a provisional waiver. Once that waiver is approved, then when your interview date comes at the embassy, you go down, you do your interview, and once they've approved the immigrant visa application, you get to come back. So that's the whole purpose of people who are not able to adjust. You must get a provisional waiver. You can't just go down. I had someone come to my office. She had what I like to call a village lawyer. He prepared all the papers for her. The interview date came, and I think one of my radio listeners at the time when I was on the radio realized that she's going down, and she said, I think you should speak to Antoinette before you go down for that interview. And she was supposed to leave like within the next 2 days. And I had to explain to her, you go down to this interview, you're barred for 10 years, right? I'm not saying that when you go down for your interview, you can't apply for the provisional waiver, but let's get real. I have had waiver applications pending since in COVID, and that was filed. I filed some applications in 2020, and slowly the approvals are coming in. And I will tell you this. When you go down, because some people don't have family to stay with, they're not on a job, them can't pay no rent, your spouse, these are the things that break up relationship. Your spouse has no intention to be waiting 3 to 4 years, for your waiver application to be approved. He or she's just thinking, okay, you're probably going down for like 6 weeks or 2 months. You out of the country, I'll tell you this. You're fat and fall for mongoose. Yeah. And sometimes all your friend, yeah, you're fat and fall for you don't even know. So for someone who is in need of a provisional waiver, that waiver has to be approved, right? And one of the things is the waiver, they want the waiver to be determined here because you know how the embassy stay. Yeah, anybody who's been your immigrant, you must come through our embassy unless you cross the border, right? Get rough. So you're there waiting, and if it is, you put in the waiver application and they realize when you go to the embassy is going to hold you inadmissible on possibly another ground. Them see a fraudulent history in your immigration history. Them not approve the waiver. But for those of you who you have the benefit of a waiver, you're going down. I'm hoping there's nothing in your background that would cause the embassy to request another waiver. Otherwise, you're gonna get stuck. The waivers can take, and sometimes it's the luck of the draw. I've had a waiver approved and I could not believe it. Then my paralegal sat down and we're like, what? Like within a month. And then I've had waivers taken going on close to 4 years. So it's really just the luck of the draw, right? So hi, Pauline. Pauline is tuning in from Brooklyn. Amarilda says men are bitter when they get a jacket, while women are twice as bitter when a man leaves her for another female. And that's the truth. Yeah. Some women, how dare you? Yeah, man. You and I think women, you really need to take this into consideration. I think you kind of hold on to anger too long. You are so involved in what is he doing with the new person. I want you to adopt an attitude not to care. First of all, it's really none of your business who he has moved on with his life. Yeah. And I'll tell you this, men have a right to be bitter when them get a jacket. My father is a tailor. Yes, so I know about jacket. We know when jacket fit, and we know when clothes don't fit. And I remember my girlfriend telling me that the husband for one of this lady she know couldn't have kids, and all three of the man's children are for the neighbor. All right, so I could jump back to the marriage. For those of you who are just joining, welcome. Let us know where you are listening from. Don't forget to like the live. Don't forget to share the live. It may benefit someone who wants to get this information, whether for themselves, a family member, or a friend, right? So the purpose is to benefit our community, as information is not readily shared to us. So this is really to empower people. All right. So I'll tell you this. If it is that it is determined you have engaged in a fraudulent marriage, what happens is if that US citizen spouse had even filed for the children, the children's application will also get denied. But as opposed to the children, you filing in the future, you're not going to be able to get the card. Your child filing is a different story because they were not participants to the fraud, right? They would have derived a benefit if it had gone through, but they did not participate. And as such, if they get the opportunity in the future to get a green card, then it is going to happen for them, right? All right. Now, there's a difference between fraudulent marriages and marriages where you actually fail to produce bona fide documents. So when you go in on a second marriage and you are able to, because you are going to be questioned on the prior marriage that you had actually filed, where it was denied because probably the testimony was inconsistent or because you didn't have the documentation. You have to have a legitimate reason why you had discrepancies in your testimony or why your documentation was deficient. That burden is on you. And if it is the officer is not satisfied, he can deny that second marriage. Even though it's a legitimate marriage, he can go ahead and deny your current marriage because he has determined that the first marriage was engaged into to avoid the immigration laws. And this is why I encourage people, be very careful who you take around you, you take into your life. I find that when someone really loves you and they want the best for you, there is no wall that that person will not climb. There's nothing that person will not do. But if it is that you go ahead and through desperation, you end up with someone and they're making your life a living hell, you have to be careful, because when you go before immigration and that marriage is fraudulent, and just from your testimony and your documents, it is clear that this is a fraudulent marriage, you are not going to be in a good position for all future filings, right? So you will have some people who will send in. Remember that love letter I speak of earlier? You'll have people sending a letter that they were paid a fee to marry you. That's all immigration needs to see, because you have just sealed their case that this marriage was entered into to avoid the immigration laws. And they can also pull bank statements. They're looking to see if monies have been exchanged for, and this is right around the time before the ask for bank statements. Probably they'll ask for it like 6 months before the marriage or shortly after. They will ask for these bank statements and they will go through these bank statements, right? I'll tell you how intuitive. I'll never forget this young lady. I had a client and she was going, my assistant, yeah man, now she need to go sign up for the FBI. Because we do look at the documents that are provided to the office. We don't just take your documents and submit. And if it raises a question, then I of course have to call you in and you have to explain this to me. Your explanation has to make sense. Yeah. And she said, Antoinette, come here, right? Never forget our young lady that from Haiti that was working for me. She said, I want you to look at this telephone bill. And it's like, as the wife get call, another person get call. And I saw the history go on. Be very careful, you know. I mean, this was a legitimate marriage, but we just never know if the wife did get born. Yeah, you know, so it is what it is. I don't get involved like that. As long as your marriage is good faith, that's all I care. If you get one that is your duty to investigate, me not cause problem in a people marriage, master. All right. So your testimony and your documentation is looked at, right? Photos. Lord Jesus. I will tell you this. When my clients bring in photos and them are bringing in bedroom, me say, no, sir. I forgot through the album. I like my clients, but sometimes I realize that not everybody use them discretion in submitting certain things. I'm say, Mom, pass your album. Jesus. Me say, the amount of picture with backers, no, sir. And then I know some suffer from high blood pressure. Me say, what is this? Well, Antoinette, the people them don't know, have to know say the thing real. Nah, them don't need to know say it real like that. No. Watch your photos where una go try give them people some heart attack. Oh God, maybe I can't take it. Imagine them people there. I will never. Suppose you did all submit it. You have one officer me go before. You can see the woman highly in our church. Suppose me I take out an album like that and give that the woman. Lord, she would have banned me. Me could not appear again before the people them. No, sir. Never. I can't say Antoinette sour. Them not do it too. So watch out for these photos. But if the photos look staged, I've been before officers and I'll never forget the officer who said, first of all, he might look, this girl I want, hot girl, yeah? Girl was a model and everything. When she looked upon the man, and I'm not saying that opposites can't attract, but when the officer looked upon this, she a real hot girl. I mean, I'm telling a fake model, like real hot girl, everything right. And the officer looked upon this man. This man look like say him need a little care. You know, Pampute will say when people get care, them different. But him married, but him still look like him need a little care. Yeah, man, send out an investigation upon them, man. When him see things that are very suspicious is the seasons have changed, but you're in the same outfit. So you're trying to say that it is winter. These pictures are taken in the winter, yet you have on summer clothes. Like when the photos are staged like that, that is a red flag, right? So watching the photos, because sometimes the documents that you give, they are actually going to cause an investigation. And I would encourage anybody, make sure you know who are the people in the pictures. Yeah. And where are the pictures taken? I think one of my clients, I'll never forget him. He was such a delightful man. My client from Africa married this lady, right? And it's a legitimate marriage. But the woman couldn't say where the picture was taken and when the picture was taken. And the picture take on them honeymoon. That makes sense. So he was referred to my office by someone. I can't recall who. And them travel far. Like, I think it was probably 4 or 5 hours them travel to the office, right? So you're going over why is it that the case got denied. You look at the decision. And in doing so, you realize that just simple, stupid errors that should not have occurred. And as a result of which, it has now placed the people in jeopardy. The case get denied. And when the case get denied, there is a possibility of your case being placed in removal proceedings. And this is what you really have to avoid when you are doing your immigration filings, right? So we went in and, we did another application, and thank God he was able to get the green card, because they were placed in our Stokes. But this time, they come to my office and they were prepared. And thank God he got the green card today. It is what it is sometimes. And this is why people think immigration is so simple. It's not always that simple. And you have to be prepared for your interviews. And one of the good things that has saved a lot of people is that they are really not doing a lot of interviews. I'll tell you this, I can't say, I never remember what the place look like to show you that's how long I have not gone. You send in the application. If they determine that the case is approvable, they are just going to send a card in the mail, right? So it is what it is. Now, all right, so somebody say you have to know the people, them name. I'll tell you this, I have had a gentleman come in my office for a divorce one time, and I realized the man couldn't even remember his wife's name. I'm not joking. What? Yeah. So when we file this now, the lady gets served. She come out of the office and she mad, and rightfully so. That is not her name on the paper. Me no know. I guess sometimes people go through some traumatic things in their relationship. Then don't even remember your name. It's not the woman's pet name. Was just not her name. She said, "Who is this?" Now, me no know you from Adam. So I'm like, this is the information we got. She said, "This is not my name." And we had to amend the papers. And, they were divorced. But yeah, you have to remember the people, their name. You really need to know. And I think what is also a fraud trigger for a lot of officers is you don't know your address, how you live there, and you don't know where you live. People can't remember apartment numbers. People can't remember zip codes. It makes no sense. Yeah. And I'll tell you, sometimes when you go in there, what you are causing the officer to do is just to make certain notes, and he's going to refer your file for an investigation. So know your spouse, right? This is not, some people are just so in love, them not care about the simple details. But when you have an immigration filing, I am going to tell you, make sure that you know your spouse, right? Amarilla says, know your cross streets, color of the front of the door, train station, etc., which is so true. You go into that interview and you don't know what's the closest train to your house or the closest transportation, whether it's bus or train, you have a big problem because it clearly proves you don't live there, right? So if you're just joining the live, good morning. Please don't forget to like and share the lives. All right. So for those people who have, I would think it would be ridiculous when immigration suspects marriage fraud. Oftentimes, they will take the US citizen apart from the immigrant and they will, in fact, question you. And oftentimes, sometimes they will say to the US citizen, you can't go to jail for this. You give us a statement that this marriage is fraudulent, then we will exercise leniency. And when you tell, let's look at the ramifications and the legal consequences for being caught in a marriage that's fraudulent. You're looking at a fine of $250,000. I mean, I know who have $250,000 in their back pocket like that. You're also facing jail time of 5 years, right? And I remember, like in Jamaica, we'd have and or. This is and 250,000 and up to 5 years. No, sir. I don't know about that. Yeah. So just be careful. Yeah. This is not a thing you want to get caught in. And I'll tell you this. People talk about not snitching and them not snitching on nobody and they are not rats. When anyone is facing incarceration and the fact that you may not be able to go home that night, stay with your family, and you're looking at time, and I'm not just talking simple time, I'm talking about serious time, you would be surprised. People will sing like a bird. Nobody is going to jail for you. Yeah. All right. So Zalita says she's curious. She wants to know whether lawyers are allowed in interviews in Jamaica as it is allowed here in the United States. Good enough. They are taking, and not even the petitioner is allowed unless they actually send for the petitioner. And sometimes it is dangerous when the petitioner, let's say that the petitioner, they decide to allow the petitioner. You have just opened the door where they can question the both of you to see whether or not there are inconsistencies. But to answer your question, Zalita, no. The lawyers are not allowed. We can submit documentation, but to be physically present in that interview, no. All right. So let's say that someone has been determined to have engaged in marriage fraud and they're subject to a 204C bar, right? If they remarry the same spouse, that it is held that the marriage was fraudulent, then that spouse can actually give them the card, right? If it is that with regards to the fraudulent marriage, they end up in deportation, then whilst in deportation, they can actually apply for a waiver for the fraudulent marriage. So if you end up in deportation and you have the necessary documents or your application is so meritorious for the waiver that the waiver is granted, then now you are admissible provided that there are no other forms of inadmissibility that would prevent you from getting the card, right? So just a reminder for those of you who don't like jail, and you don't have money to pay for this fine, you're looking at $250,000, and we do mean US dollars here, and up to 5 years, right? So marriage fraud is a reason to place people in deportation. For those of you who don't know, this is a reason to put people in removal proceedings. All right. Now, when you are filing and you get a letter, basically what they would send is NOID, a notice of intent to deny, because this has come to their attention, or if it is that they have approved the relative petition on the marriage, and let's say information comes to their attention that the marriage is fraudulent, they are going to send a notice of intent to revoke the approval. So the fact that sometimes, and this is why I tell people, don't hype on people, because the fact that you may get an approval at one stage does not mean that you are going to get an approval towards the end. People will get the approval for the work permit, them start hype, but you don't get the green card. Or you get a green card, it's a 2-year green card, you start being disrespectful to your spouse, you're a conditional resident. So that means that the condition has to be removed. So you go and you think you're cute, and you start with the styling. This comes back only to bite you, because I can't see. I've had some clients where the spouse is extremely disrespectful, and like I said, I'm not here to destroy people's marriage. So I am not going to say, leave the person. That's not my job. I will terminate your marriage if you come to say that you want a divorce. But even when people come into my office and they say they want a divorce, and I don't even know how they would feel about this, the governing bodies of attorneys, but I send people home. If you come into my office and I see that you are so in love with your spouse and you're not ready for a divorce, I'm sending you home. Go and get marriage counseling, right? You're not ready for a divorce. People, in my opinion, people who are ready for a divorce, you're ready to move on with your life. If I still see you clamoring about your spouse and this, go home. Go and work it out with your spouse. Not my officer. Go and find another attorney. I'm not wasting my time. Yeah? Or if it is, I've seen disrespect where the spouse has done a porn video with him girlfriend and he mail it to the house, where the girlfriend, she order things offline and she mails it to the house. Them level of disrespect, no, and he's alive? Yo! No, sir. Me no know. What's the time I come from Portmore? Me no, where are we carrying on with this? That makes sense? That makes no sense to me. So Sandy says, but Antoinette, do those photos really prove legitimacy? I would probably be thinking of a porn star. Master, the way how them the giants they flex up, trust me, could have a very suitable career in the industry. But when you put pictures like that, sometimes we're like, the officer is thinking you're really trying to convince me. Yeah, they sometimes look at that, these overdoing pictures. Some officers will take it that you are in fact trying too hard, and it becomes suspicious too. So one is like, then if you do it, a problem. If you don't do it, I don't know. But think about it. You go to somebody's house, and this is how you have to think of presenting yourself. You go to somebody's house and you're looking through their family album. You nah see that, you know? So when people are creating their albums and they're going to be taking it to immigration for review, think about you go to somebody's house and you look at family pictures. It's gonna be pictures with shared special occasions. Other family members, close friends are going to be in the pictures. You're not gonna have like complete strangers in the pictures. So very, very important. So the burden of proof is always on the government to for them to prove. It's their burden to prove that the marriage is fraudulent. Now, let's look at this. So for judgments of annulments, so Amarilla is saying do family pictures, Christmas, Thanksgiving parties. Yeah, that's true. Hi Mavis, good morning, darling. Mavis is listening from Queens. All right, so what can I tell you? When the problem is there are not a lot of avenues for people to get a green card. And oftentimes, marriage is the only viable option that they will have. And for the people who are engaging in this, you have to be careful. Yeah. And I have seen where some people come into my office and say, lawyers are find people for them. Me can't believe that. I mean, not gonna believe that because rightly and truly, that's someone's license right there. I mean, I think nobody. That's how you eat, right? And I'll tell you, I've had people come into my office and, oh, can you find somebody? Who finding somebody? What? Yeah, trust me, people are bold enough to come. Me no know no liar who take them license seriously, who would even lose their mind and engage in this madness. Yeah? So, no, sir. You come in my office. I remember a client came to me and she said the reason she came to me to represent her, and this is how these things happen. She said the reason she came to my office is because our friend came to my office and in questioning the friend, I realized that this marriage not real. So I sent our friend home. I'm not representing her. And she said she can't believe this. She can't believe a lawyer would actually do this. So I send them home. Yeah. No, not my office. And I'll tell you this. Immigration themselves will come into attorney's office pretending that, oh, I'm marrying this person and it's a fake marriage. Can you put through the papers? So any lawyer who has sense knows that I'm gonna jump out of that. Yeah, I have seen attorneys lose their license because they have engaged in finding people for people. You must be out of your mind. I don't care. And really and truly, ladies, there is a crisis in terms, and the men will say the same thing. There is, I'm sorry, a shortage of suitable people out there. The women have a problem now because some of these men are in skirts. So if you're a heterosexual woman looking a heterosexual man, it is a challenge, right? It's gonna be very hard for you. The men are complaining of the same thing, that they can't find a good person. But me not get involved in a people relationship like that. You must know how to present yourself for go find a man or a woman. I am not a matchmaker. I am not a dating site. That's not my business. Yeah. And that's my position. Even with my own friends, you would give them guidance. But I realize personally, me too rough. And me not shame to tell nobody me too rough. I'm a person when in relationships, it's black or white. There's no gray area. So I have been classed by my friends that I have no empathy. But I can't understand. So certain things my friends will not tell me because I'll find that it is nonsense. Or when they do tell me, them say, no, but I get angry in the internet, but this is what happened. Yeah, because there are certain things that I don't think in a relationship. There's certain disrespect and certain level of endurance me not take and me not have. So I have found that sometimes I'm gonna keep my opinions to myself. I'm gonna shut my mouth because you're gonna hear say how me not have no empathy, how I'm too rough. Yeah, I'm rough, me know I'm rough. So sometimes people come to me, I'ma just shut my mouth because them say, boy, Antoinette, we know say if this was you, a problem, yeah, it's gonna be a problem. Caller, you are on the air live, my darling. Hello? All right, so I'm not hearing that person. I'm gonna disconnect. Yeah, so people just know how to take certain things. All right, so Sandy says, Amarillo, those are pictures I would be looking for and hoping to see. Pictures of togetherness. Yes, some romantic lovey-dovey too, but definitely not those backers. Me say, Sandy, oh God, who make me heart when I remember those things. All right. So we're running out of time, but I did start late, so I'll do a extra few minutes, right? So let's look at marriages in deportation. When you get married in deportation, your marriage is under strict scrutiny. Kaya look away, yeah? So you have to prove to immigration that you are not getting married solely for the purpose of or you're not married to evade immigration law. So you getting a green card must not be the sole purpose of the marriage. It is going to be part and parcel of benefit, but it must not be the sole purpose. So you basically you sign off on a statement in that regard, right? And immediately you're placed in a Stokes. So for people who do not interview well, this is rough, right? So if it is that your spouse does not, I remember one of my clients, her, and I don't even know how, and this is where God is present, right? When oftentimes you need him most. This man went through a horrible motor vehicle accident. Yeah. I don't even know how I'm even walk after that. And this is just where some people benefit from some miracles. But what it did was to affect his brain. So some days he'll be talking, he's here, he knows what's going on. And then give it a few more weeks, he's talking as he's back in the 80s. So it's just the grace of God. When I tell you that car was totally destroyed, nobody understands. And this is just the amazing grace and power of God. How this man survived this. So this is a man now I have to take into an interview. Lord Jesus. Whew. So, of course, with the luck of the draw, we have to get this officer who is very prim and proper. Yeah? Like, I mean, the man is serious. Not a crease in him clothes. You know them people there? Everything just up to the time. Yeah. And I said to myself, Lord God, just like how you bring this man out of the accident, please make his wife get the papers. Because me no know, because she come in now and I do everything. Some men are so lucky they find amazing women. Women who wear, if you, because some people understand the concept that it is for better or worse. So when worse happens, they are there. Like you could be crippled, you could lose a leg, you could suffer from dementia, you could be in a wheelchair. That person is there. Some people will never meet that person. You just have to meet crosses. And we went into that interview. And of course, say answer everything wrong. Come back me in a position where the memory now work today of all the days. And some days the man come in at my office. And I'm like, this man is a genius. The next day, I can't deal with a baby rasta. I can't understand. And of course, me get the day for the interview is like a baby. You never remember his own sister? You know, remember the picture take at his own sister yard? Who is this? You don't know. He just no member. He not pretend. He just no member. Lord Jesus. So me I get ready now. But the way me set the progression of the file is for the officer to see. And we left the interview and we don't know. That's my genuine answer. We did not know. And about probably a few weeks later, my client called me and she said, Antoinette, I get the card. And I said, thank God. Because when you say, the file officer say, you say, this woman I care for him. Yeah, man, she in everything. Like me say, careful who you choose in life. You choose the wrong person. If you sustain worse, because someone who lose little money, the woman gone left on the backside. You're not gonna get some serious styling. Yeah. I've had men come into my office. And the same for women. They need to know when wasn't nothing. Take on it from scratch like a cake mix. And add certain things and all of a sudden we get a cake. And then when you reach a certain level, you engage in the styling. Personally, me as a girl, I not do the styling. I don't know how some people stay in these homes and take these styling. It amazes me. Me? Somebody like me? I left you a long time, Rasta. You're not even gonna realize that we were once in a relationship. Some people, they sit in this and they take it. You have built your spouse. When I say from nothing, and it's either you put them through school, whether it be college or trade school. I had one client, after being with this woman, putting her through, I think it was nursing school. I don't know what am I feed them in a nursing school. And after she get her degree and she graduate now, Rasta, you help build this, So who's supposed to benefit? So you get ready for graduation. Oh, you bright, sir? Or who invite you nowhere? You know the panel level? You have degree? You have certificate? No, sir, you have to take off your clothes. Who invite you? Yeah, you are not invited. And this is what some people are actually going through. Me don't know. Because sometimes me I wonder, Rasta, if we did there in the islands, this would have happened? Me don't know. It's a different, me don't know if I the air here. I don't know if it's the water here. I don't know. But people just on different levels here. Yeah. And if you're with someone and you not build from scratch, and I say this because for the men it's different because they are really deemed to be the providers. But so it's really the women who oftentimes are looking for men to be that provider. But I'll tell you this, ladies, it's better you take up a man with ambition who broke, but him have ambition. This again, I prefer hustlers, legal hustling, of course. Come really not no money for bail, yo. Yeah, me not do it. Me not put no money upon a commissary. Me I try to live my life a certain way, you do it too. Yeah, but I'm gonna give you this, and this is where when I was in college, I heard one of my roommates said it. She said, Antoinette, my mother said to me, don't look at money, what they have, because that's something they can lose. A man who can take himself and build himself back from scratch, because he understands the principle that there's no time to lay. You really have a family to support, and he has ambition. Ladies, that's the man that you are supposed to be looking at. But sometimes everything have a caveat, because when them in a them mama house and them a certain age and them under them mama fractal, me are telling you, girls, young ladies and women, you better run from them boy there. Yeah, we understand. All right, so if you get married whilst you're in deportation proceedings, it can't happen for you still. Me know why you think said can't happen for you. It can't happen. Now, just make sure the marriage is bona fide. Because the worst thing, if you're in removal proceedings, you get married, it's a fake marriage and it is determined to be a fraudulent marriage. Dog name your supper, right? All right. One of the things when you do get married, it's different when you're in deportation proceedings. You do not get the benefit of filing for your adjustment of status right away. Your marriage has to be approved first before you can look to file for the adjustment of status. These days, some judges are allowing you to terminate the case and go before USCIS, or some judges will keep the case and they will, in fact, do the hearing. And I'll tell you this. I have a client, and this is why I don't care how much money people have. You see, when you are able to have your health, to me, that's priceless. Yeah? And my client, I've been with her for so long. We finally get the green card, right? And this is when you pick up someone who suffers from seizures, this is a serious thing. You pick up someone who suffers seizures, you can't be in a fluff. Someone says, good morning. Do you do citizenship applications? Yes, I do. Why is Amarillo telling people to run to Canada? Amarillo, Canada is one country where you can marry one dog. We don't know. Why? No. Don't do it. But your health is priceless. Don't take it for granted. And especially if you have a spouse who is really not in the long haul for you and you get sick during that marriage, it's rough. Yeah? So if you are in a position where you are healthy, be grateful. I don't care what other problems you have, life, you have hope. There are some people who, just to even get the ability to get up out of their hospital beds, just even for one day. And I find people are very ungrateful for the simple pleasures of life. You get up, you can't breathe. Some people are on, they have to be using what is called a respiratory mask, these sort of things. Just be thankful for like the simplest of things. That's my encouragement to someone today. If you have crosses in your life, you must know how to cut and clear and get rid of that crosses. I'll tell anybody this. The hardest thing for me is to have a client come into my office, and after 30 or 40 years of marriage, they are getting a divorce. So, are you serious, Sam? I just wasted 30, 40 years of my life. So, for me, I'd encourage anybody, it's not working out, you have the ability to move on with somebody else, find that happiness. It's your choice. But I really don't think, and if someone is with you and they're unhappy, it's also going to make you unhappy. I am a person, my thought process is, I'm gonna set you free, honey. You must go out there and you must enjoy your life. I don't know. Some people do it, but what it is. I want to shoot. I'm going over time, so let me hurry up so I can end this and everybody can go move on with their Sunday, right? So if it is that you are a green card holder and within the first 5 years of getting the green card, not from the date of marriage, immigration, often when they're making these rules, it is from the date of getting the green card. So you're a green card holder. You meet somebody, they file for you, you come here. Unfortunately, it did not work out, right? It's such that if you go ahead and you marry somebody else, okay, you divorce that person now, it never worked out, so you're moving on with your life. If you go ahead and you marry somebody else within the first 5 years of getting the card, what happens is when you're filing for this person, you're going to be under strict scrutiny. Yeah. So, what in fact happens is that second or third marriage that you do, whilst you have the green card for less than 5 years and you got it through a marriage. I'm not talking like your child filed for you or your sibling. I'm talking about those people who they got their green card through a marriage. And within the first 5 years of getting that green card, you go ahead and you are marrying somebody else and you're filing for that person. It's going to be rough. Amarillo said me always get bad name. No, Amarillo, why you sending people them go Canada for? No, but no do it. All right. So you go ahead and you marry somebody. First 5 years of getting the green card, you go with your bride self and you put in the petition. Your marriage under strict scrutiny. So now they may start looking into the first marriage. Yeah. And this is why you'll see people who they rather get their citizenship and they file for somebody else. Yeah. All right. So who is the next person? Because we just focus on marriage. We soon done. Don't worry. Because we understand, say, Sunday morning, you have things to do. I'm really over the time now. So we're going to end very shortly. So, if you, within the first 2 years, yeah, of getting the green card, so that means you're coming with a conditional, right? Get the conditional. And then, so you've been married for less than 2 years. And then, after you get the green card, you divorce within 2 years. You are under strict scrutiny. Because it's like you just marry for the papers. So make sure you have any documents and know. May I give you this information and guidance so you can know how to run your life. Because some of you just don't make sense. Yeah. And we are trying to prevent you from getting into them the madness there. Them the shenanigans there. Yeah. So it is what it is with these marriages and immigration. Yeah. For those of you who are married and you've had that green card for more than, or you've had it for that 3-year period, and you're looking to file citizenship because you're married to an American, and it doesn't matter that the American didn't give you the green card, probably your parent filed for you, but you're now married to an American, and you have the green card for 3 years, you can put in that application. But for those of you where you got the green card through marriage and you were a conditional green card holder, and you have applied to remove the conditions, and it takes so long, because anybody who doing this application now, you're getting an extension for 48 months. What does that mean? 4 years extension until they can make a determination. Back in the day, I'll tell you this, these applications used to get approved within 6 to 9 months. Now it's taking 4 years. That's a long time. Especially someone who pick up them crosses people, yeah. Yeah, man, it's like a bandage. Yeah. But I'll tell you this. You file for the naturalization, the citizenship is not going to get approved until they have made a determination on your 751s. That's your removal of condition. So you can put it in. It's just not going to get a determination until your 751 is approved. I will tell you this, what some people are doing, cause them end up with some crosses people, and it's only if like they are in fact eligible. Some people just after them get the conditional, them realize say this marriage now work out, and them I go through some things, them jump in and hop and join the military. Because after basic training, they just move towards their citizenship, and them not offer removing the conditions. So for some people, that's the way out. I had a client come to my office, and this is the last thing I'm saying before me sign off, so everybody can do them Sunday business. It is quite disturbing. I had a client come in, and the way how, because she say is a youth, and him say Antoinette, we broke up, and me go back because nobody really wants to have their children in separate households. So him broke up, him leave this girl, and he got back together. I'm trying. Some men are really focused on trying to save their family. Hurrah! Are the worst thing him ever do. Call police on him. Say, oh, my liquor. But the smart thing is, and anybody know, when I pick up these Jezebels, make sure you get a phone with camera. Pick up ourselves, I lick ourselves. And I say, so how he's abusing her, but he's videotaping everything. So, black people in America can't understand. When the police come to your house, it's not a good thing. Especially black men. Because black men, you're treated as the villain. I'm not prettying up anything here. Anybody know me? I am a straight talker. Them come in, them see a woman crying, them see a black man, them are gonna rough you up. So when him take out the video and show, so this is what actually happened. You girl, you get arrested. She not only did this once, but she did this twice. Me don't know when I find them people here. Me don't know when I find them crosses people. But I'm gonna encourage you. You need to start vetting these people. You need to, when you see them discuss their exes in a certain way and how they've done a level of wickedness to them, this is not the person for you. Because you're just standing one shoe size away of being in the same position. Mine wanna do it in itself in America. And I'll encourage anybody this. If you are in a relationship, because I understand we're in a different age. My mentality is in an era before I was even born, because that is where my principles come from. It comes from my parents, and they are village people, country people. So this scamming and conning, I do not take it in my life. But I'm going to encourage you. If you're in a relationship and the police is ever called into your relationship, you must have the sense and a level of discernment to know this is not the relationship for you. You must get out, and I want you to put yourself in Lot's wife position. You must bear in mind that if you ever look back and you place yourself in the position of Lot's wife, and you go back into that, you're going to turn into a pillar of salt. That's my recommendation for today. Be very careful. All right, so I've taken up a lot of your time this Sunday. I've gone overboard. Thank you for joining us this Sunday. I'll be back next Sunday trying to educate and inform our community. Have a blessed day. Live good with your family. Take care, and I will see you next Sunday. Bye.